kind of giving a brief, I have 10-minute wrap up, but whatever you all have that you all want to share is great. And then ultimately, we'll also want to know, like, what are some next steps you see for this group, and what you might want to see at future data dives, or, you know, are you continuing your collaboration on past this event in like a separate group, all of that kind of good stuff. So I'll ask Shelley and Sarah to share first from the Remote Ecosystem to Tell Trash Stories group.
Great. Can we share our screen?
Yes, let me stop my share.
Whoa. There we go.
Oh, it looks great.
All right. Okay. So we were all about storytelling, and to give you a little background, resize this. So oftentimes I get asked, what are people doing in California around trash? And so there's not a lot of places you can send people to find that information. You send them to this person, that person, all over the place. So one of the goals was we wanted to have a single place where people go to find stories about trash. And we wanted the information to be as concise as possible. So some of the products we wanted to get out of this meeting was a short guide on how to share your story, which we don't have. We were a small but mighty group, but this is something that will need to be put together in the future. We wanted a website structure, which we do have, and a minimum of 2 stories, which I think we do have as well. And we'll give you some examples of that. We talked about who our audience would be, and there's a lot of different types of people that would potentially come to this site to look for stories on trash. But one of the things we decided was to make it as high level as possible, so that somebody potentially from the public or a student could come to the site and get information on trash. And with the thought that if people wanted further information, if they wanted more detailed information, those links could be provided by the people telling the stories to give people the more detailed info. We also talked about some tools that could be used to create stories, and we've got a whole list here. We had some ways of making your own websites that were pretty low cost. Even with something like Esri Story Maps, they have free accounts where you can create stories. We've got a lot of statistics and visualization tools that are available. And we also talked about ways of getting the stories out through blogs, podcasts, and videos, and sharing on social media as well. So the idea behind this was we'd have a central location for all these stories. If somebody wanted to tell their story, they could post a shortened story on our on the website, and with a link to their full remote story. Or they could just tell a shortened version of their story to put on the site, or they could do a full remote story if they already had that and it was just easy. So what this would entail is just putting links to other stories within the site, and not necessarily writing the stories on that site. So we had a list of different stories that were interesting to people that they wanted to know more about. And this is the list that we came up. So we came up with 2 stories that we wanted to tell. And actually, Sarah had this really awesome idea about doing a story map about all the monitoring that's being done in California. So we're going to show you that. We'll show you the website, and we'll also show you a couple of graphics that we came up with. So let me stop sharing so I can share a different window. I lost you guys. There we go. Share screen. So this is the website that we created. It's a Google site for right now. This is the opening page. We don't have any text on there. We'll have to go back and add some of that. And Sarah will show you this tool in a minute. Going across the top with some of the menu items, we thought it would be good to talk about trash policy in California, some of the people that are involved. And we structured it similar to what the breakout subcommittees of the trash monitoring work group are. And we also have a place for data and tools and methods as well. So I'll go ahead and show you some of the tools that we explored and some of the graphics that we made by clicking on the tools. And we used something called Data Wrapper, which we had never heard of, but somebody in our group had suggested. And so we were able to make some really quick and easy graphics. Data Wrapper is free to use. It's pretty intuitive, and it can create some pretty powerful graphics for you. So this is a cleanups done in South Yuba River by the Citizens League. And we simply made a graphic that basically shows the different types of cleanup opportunities that were done up there. San Diego River Trash heat map. We can zoom into this map and show different areas as well. And then we also had this graphic that we came up with showing trash breakdown by source. So you can actually click on the graphic and it would give you the ability to pull out certain types on their own. Sarah, did you want me to turn it over to you to share your screen, or you want me just to click on it here in the...
You can just click on it there, and that way we can show that functionality. Yeah.
Okay.
The idea with this story map was that we could create something that helped people to see, you know, since we have so many different places where trash monitoring happens, and I know, you know, crosswalking all that data into one big database is a topic that has been taking up a lot of people's time and energy for a long, long time. But if we put a map together that kind of demonstrated where all of that place was coming, this could be sort of a clearinghouse to direct it in something that's real visual. So we made a little Google form where people could submit information to populate this map. But in the short term, we added just the couple of story map locations for groups that were participating in our breakout sessions. So if you click on any one of those items, it'll just sort of zoom the map down to show you kind of the data type, the geography, and a short description of what that trash project is related to. So it would give a chance to sort of highlight, you know, projects that on their face are not identical methods, but could sort of help tell the picture of all the different things that are happening in California. Obviously, this is a work in progress since it has opportunities to still populate with a lot more data, but this was set up as a collaborative document. So, hypothetically, this could be extended to multiple users to continually add data. Right now, it's just our small group, but over time we could extend that. Yeah. And I think if we scroll all the way to the bottom, Shelley, we added a couple of links of just, there's a lot of ways that we could add some additional, like close the loop of the storytelling. One of the points that came up in our group was making sure that people had access to this information and actions that they can then do with it. So we added a link to, an idea would be putting up a like volunteer calendar or something like that about how to get involved. We could put up meeting calendars and other stuff like that that could just auto populate from things that are already being circulated. Yeah. Did I miss anything, Shelley?
No, that was great. And that's what we worked on. The thought was that we would also build out some of these other areas based on the type that we're talking about. And there was one we did add a story under methods, the trash monitoring playbook. This actually links directly to the website that has the trash monitoring playbook and all that stuff. But the idea is to create some short stories on here and basically make a one-stop shop for all trash stories and people can come here and get any information they want. Of course, it's going to be dependent upon participation from everyone. I'm confident that we'll get some people that will want to put their stories up. But I thought this was a great idea by Sarah with the map showing all the locations where people were doing trash surveys to start off the website. So that's it. And thank you, Sarah, for being an awesome co-leader with me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Aw, this is so cool. I think this is going to be such a cool map. So how is the site live, or how can people start contributing to it, or do you want to like kind of keep it on your own for now and develop it before launching it further?
I think what we could do is share the Google form. What do you think, Sarah?
Mute. Yeah, we can share the Google form. I also, just for anybody who wants to look at it now, I put the link in the chat, but it's probably not quite ready for public, just because it's not very comprehensive yet. But the Google form would be a great place to start, and it's just a six or seven question poll about what sort of data is being collected, what those projects look like.
Cool.
Shelley, do you have that form handy? I guess I can pull it off the.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's awesome. I imagine that you might want to, pass it around to people that you already know have stories to start and start populating that. But we might, if you don't mind, sending these links out in like the event wrap-up email, so that people can see what's being developed. I think that's awesome.
Sure.
Yep.
Anyone else have any comments or questions for Shelley and Sarah? You're welcome to just come off mute. We're a small group this afternoon.
I had a question. In our group, this is Jarmat. In our group, we were talking about this morning a couple different times an open source form or an open source database came up, and we thought, well, it would be nice if all of these were in the same location so people wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. They're not really stories, but trying to keep trash stuff together. Do you see an opportunity of putting that kind of thing, like at least joining those two things, trash resources and the stories somehow on the same website?
Yeah, I think that's why we were trying to include other things that would be helpful for people who are doing trash assessments, and that tools link that's on the website would be something where we can put different things that are available to people. So it wouldn't be just online tools or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It could be, Gary, your application perhaps for doing some of the track 2 work, or the Save the Ways application that Diego created as part that he showed to the or will be showing to the trash monitoring work group. Anything that people have been working on that might be a great resource for people, we can put in that under that tab on the website.
Oh, great, thanks.
I think part of the story that story map can convey is just that there's a lot going on. Like, that's kind of the story, and it gives people a way to filter into what geographic area they're particularly interested in. But I think, like, if part of what's going on is all of these other data sets that aren't that can be part of the story, I think, for sure.
Awesome, thank you. So we're about halfway through our time, so let's go ahead and bring up the Track 2 Trash Amendment group. Let's see what you all have to share, and then any lessons learned or next steps that you would like to share to end the event.
Yeah, I can just kick us off, but I'm going to pass it over to Gary because he was really the brains of this operation today. Essentially, what we focused on was we dove into a couple of data sets related to the Track 2 trash amendments, and then we decided to create a minimum viable list of fields that need to be collected so that we can form them all into a database. And Gary can take it from here.
Sure. The brain, I think we're a collective brain. I think that was the value. We brought the heads together. Are you guys seeing my screen? Yes. Okay. So I'm off mute, right? We started, everybody was just kind of talking about, we looked at like 4 different data sets, including the one I just had on the screen there, ours on the Central Coast there, where we have a bunch of geometric data essentially. Essentially, we're talking about 2 types of data where you're either measuring the type of trash that's there, right? What kind of items are there and how many of them are there, or how much trash there's there. And Sarah's data set is a great example of one that encompasses elements of both. Julian's data set as well, same thing, there's elements of both in there. So we're trying to figure out, okay, this is the vast majority of trash data out there. How can we create that space where they can both live, improve the data discoverability, usability, etc. So now we're looking at the total ugliness of what we did here. We actually dove right in and ground our way through field by field, trying to make some decisions just to actually get moving down this path, what this database would look like. And so we have the concept of a survey, right? A survey is a person goes to a place on a date and looks at some trash of some kind, right? It could be any of those data types. And so there's a set of data fields that are associated with that action. And we're largely, as we're doing this, we're looking towards the way this process was developed in SWAMP and CDEN to sort of guide our way for how we build this structure. And so there's a set of data fields on the top here that these are all common to that event, that thing you went out to do. And this is what we kind of went through each of them and went, okay, do we need this? Can we get rid of it? Does it overlap with other data fields? What should be the controlled vocabulary? Should there be a controlled vocabulary associated with this data field? And just went through one by one and got some level of consensus, had our minds changed by each other. It was really fun. And then the fields on the bottom half here are primarily associated with those 2 different bins of data types. So there's qualitative assessments that might be associated with a certain field protocol like OVTA, EPA's ETAP, Keep California Beautiful, Keep America Beautiful, Caltrans type survey, SFEI. There are all these field protocols that occur on roads, on beaches, in riparian areas. As long as we have that information and the basic information about how those data were collected, and we know that there's some what we tried to get to was a common area estimate where the area over which each field protocol was applied, we can probably figure out a way to use these data together. We can't store all the details of everything in the database, but we can make sure that it's easily discoverable. So an industrious analyst is able to get what they need to do, say, a regional analysis that uses different data types together and whatnot. And so we have those qualitative type survey type data, and then those count type data. We didn't really get into these. So this is probably Wynn is probably the best person to start building this part out to try to understand, okay, given what we've done to try to harmonize the taxonomy of trash data sets, what are those essential fields that need to be captured there to know what types and categories of trash are going to be most relevant? What we tried to do with this was to look at the end products that people were going to need to do, how they're going to want to slice and dice the data for various purposes, regulatory compliance, regional analysis, hotspots analysis, whatever it is, and just make sure at least at the outset here, we're not painting ourselves into a corner, right? So that we're not going to build anything in here that would preclude those types of analyses that we're pretty sure are going to be important for informing our most important management questions. Next steps wise, I think we just carry on down this path. We get even more, hopefully, folks in the room and just pound our way through the rest of these fields, see if we're missing anything, that we have some blind spots, and work through these controlled vocabularies on the lookup list. And I think we'll have a draft structure that we can start trying to figure out, well, how does it connect with CDN? How difficult, how much effort has to be put forth for different folks like Sarah, like Julian, like ourselves at Second Nature to migrate data to this common grounding place. So that's what we spent our time on. It was fun.
Awesome, Gary. And
Sure.
thanks, Wynn, as well. And of course, Julian and Jarma, even though you aren't speaking today, I know you all were vital parts of making this effort happen. So thank